everyone. Welcome to Cooking with Oma. Today is a little bit of a special day. I'm going to bake. As you know, I love to bake. So today I'm going to make some apple squares. And the special thing about that is that I'm going to introduce my two daughters. These apple squares are their very favorites. The ingredients are 1 cup of all-purpose flour, I have a cup of sugar, 2 eggs, but I'm only going to use the yolks, I'll separate them after. I have a cup of unsalted butter, room temperature, 1/2 a teaspoon of baking powder, and a little sprinkle of salt. Now that's for the pastry. Now the topping, it's streusel, and for the streusel I have a 1/2 cup of flour, all-purpose, 1/2 cup of sugar, not quite, I have a 1/2 cup of buttery, but I'm not going to use it all. And the breadcrumbs I have here, which I'll explain later what they are for. And the apples, I will peel them, slice them, and saute them a little bit. And this is my cake pan. I said to my son, would you please measure this pan, because I wasn't too sure what the size of it is. And he measured it, and he says, it's 11 by 7, Mom. I turned it around. I said, oh my gosh, it says 11 by 7. And I have had this pen at least 30 years, and I didn't know what the size of it is. Now, isn't that funny and strange and odd? That's me. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to prepare the apples for my squares. I cut them in quarters, and then, like this, I'm going to peel them. Peel them. I know they have apple peelers and all these modern things, but I can't change. And I'm going to slice them just like this. They don't have to be even. Just like that. Cut the core out. I love to do this job. I don't know how long I will be able to do it yet, but I'll do it as long as I can. So the apples are sliced, all ready to saute, and I peeled 4 medium-sized apples. It depends on the size. If they are small, you need 5. If you have really big ones, 3. Now they are ready for my sauteed pan. And so I'm going to my stove. I'm going to put just a little bit of butter and put the heat on medium-low and saute them for maybe 10 minutes. Or I'm going to cover it up. It has to go slowly, otherwise it burns on the bottom, and we don't want those in my lovely apple squares. Okay, the apples are done. That's the way they have to look, just soft but not mushy. We have to cool them off a little bit before we put them in the pastry. Now it's time to make the pastry. The first thing I'm going to do is grease the pan with Crisco. I do it by hand like this. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of flour on the bottom, just like this. Just plain flour. Okay. Now, I got my 1 cup of flour in here. I'm going to cut the butter in, which is a 1/2 cup. And then I'm going to just make like a little crumbly. It's just about done. Now I'm going to put a 1/2 cup of sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, a sprinkle of salt, and now come the egg. Just the egg yolks, like I said before. Everything in. There. And now I'm going to make the dough. Mix it all up. It feels good. You know, when you bake a lot, sometimes you can feel it. Is it gonna be okay, or is it just gonna be so-so? And it's good. A little flour on the counter before I put the now. This is what this little part of flour is for. And you just need it. It's already nice and smooth, but you give it a little, just a little longer. This is nice and easy to knead. Harder knead things I cannot knead anymore. I think this is just about done. Flour. Flour around it because I'm going to roll it out now. Here's my rolling pin, my famous little rolling pin. Okay. So now roll the pastry over my rolling pin. Put it in. It looks a little messy, but it doesn't matter. You just squeeze it in. That's the beauty of this dough. You can do this. This is a delicious dough. My grandchildren used to be small, and I did something like this. They always wanted a little taste, just raw, because it is good. But not, I told them, not too much. You get a tummy ache. I have to prick the dough so that when sometimes it gets air bubbles, and these little holes are going to prevent it to look funny and not turn out okay. So this is it. And now breadcrumbs. Use as much as to cover up the whole, in case the apples draw out some juice. These breadcrumbs are going to soak it up. Before I put the apples on, I'm going to make the streusel. So I have a cup of flour, I have a cup of sugar, and this is a half a pound of butter, but I'm not going to use it all right now. See what happens after I do the crumbles. So I might need a little more, but you can always add. You can't take it out. So like for the pastry, you cut the butter in. I can hardly wait till my girls come and have their favorite squares. Okay, we will try with this. Now this might take a little while because this has to be nice and crumbly. See, when I was younger, a young woman, we didn't measure anything. We just put things in. But now, this little job I have, I put a little more flour in because it's too buttery. I have to measure things, and it's not so easy sometimes. It's coming together though. Boy. It's crumbly. I'm gonna use the last of the flour. So I would say I probably used about put a half a cup in first and maybe another, almost, maybe 2/3 cups of flour. Okay, it's all done. This is how it has to look. It's just a little larger little crumbs. We are going to get the apples. Doesn't matter if they are not quite cold, they are almost all cold, but that's fine. There we are. The apples are on. Now come the streusel. And this you just go over the top. There we are. It's ready to go in the oven at 350 degrees, and normally it takes about an hour. It could be a little less, a little more. We just have to check it. And the way we know it's done, the top has to be nice and golden brown. And that'll be the sign that the bottom is done too. It's time to taste. And these are my two beautiful daughters.
Thanks, Mom. I'm Irene. I'm Isabel. And this is actually Isabel's and my favorite dessert since we were tiny little children. The Apfelkuchen just melts in your mouth. We finish the whole pan in one sitting. We eat it like potato chips. It brings back so many wonderful memories.
And I have a little story.
I love your stories.
I made this apple cake. Irene came from Halifax and Isabel. They were sitting in the back seat of the car. Isabel's from Toronto. And they were sitting in the back seat, and Isabel's husband, Brad, was driving, and I was sitting beside him. So I turned around, I said, girls, did you taste the apple, the squares? Mom, we finished it all. I said, what? He said, we finished it all. So that's how I knew that they really, really loved them. And I'm so happy to have you two here with me. And I know you will enjoy it.
Yummy.
Heaven.
Yummy!
Yummy!
Delicious, Mom.
Yummy.
Good job.
Thank you. I just wanted to say one more thing. I am so happy to have these three wonderful children, and I feel so blessed. Thank you, love.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
And you know what?
I love you.
We're happy to have you too.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you.
Okay, group hug. Thanks
So
for watching,
good.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Until next time.
Thanks for watching Cooking with Oma.
All right, let's have some more cake.
It's good, eh, son?
I love the
stuffed my
crust.
face
That's what I
already.
mean. Like the corners are my favorite. Unbelievable.
Don't squish me. I have been waiting for this moment for 4 years. Okay, what's your name?
So sorry you didn't come in on
Yeah,
the
she
cue.
didn't say.
I know you're
She didn't
supposed,
say
to say this is Irene.
No, you're supposed to say
You're
I'm
supposed to say,
Irene.
I'm Irene, the eldest.
And here are my 2 beautiful daughters.
I'm censoring.
And here are my 2 beautiful daughters.
I forgot my line.